They handed her the key, the cabin I legally inherited from Grandma, and said, "This is all yours now." I stood there, stunned, holding the will in my purse like it didn't even matter, like this story is already making your blood boil? Good. Because what happens next will leave you speechless. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. You're not going to want to miss what they did next. When Grandma passed away, she left behind more than just memories. She left the family cabin. Not just any cabin, but the one where we spent every single childhood summer. We all thought it would go to my dad or maybe get sold. No one expected her to leave it directly to me, Ava, the so-called nobody of the family. The quiet one. The one with no direction. But she did. She said in her handwritten will, to Ava, the only one who ever listened. I cried when I read it. No one else knew. I stayed silent, waiting for the right time to bring it up, maybe during the upcoming family trip to the cabin. That's when everything exploded. The day before the trip, Mom casually said in the group chat, "We gave the cabin key to Emma. She'll be hosting since she knows how to keep things organized." Emma. My older sister. The golden child. The one who never lifted a finger for Grandma. At first, I thought it was a mistake. Maybe they didn't know. But when I showed up to the cabin and walked in with my own key, everything went sideways. Emma was already inside, redecorating. "Can you please not touch anything?" she snapped. "This place needs to feel like mine." I blinked. "Yours?" She laughed. "Mom and Dad said it's mine now. They even gave me the key. Grandma always liked me better anyway." My chest tightened. I wanted to scream, to throw the will in her face. But I didn't. Not yet, because I had a better plan. And it started the moment they told me I wasn't getting a room. "Sorry, Ava," my mom said with a fake smile, "we only booked 3 rooms, and Emma's friends are staying too." I slept in the car that night, but while they toasted marshmallows around the fire, I was making a phone call, one that would flip this entire vacation upside down. The next morning, while they all laughed over breakfast on the porch, I walked past them in silence, straight to the local sheriff's office. I handed over Grandma's will and the cabin's deed. "They've occupied my legal property without permission," I said calmly. The officer glanced at the papers, then back at me with a nod. "You want them removed?" I took a deep breath. "No. Not yet. I want them to embarrass themselves first." Back at the cabin, Emma was busy giving her friends a tour, pretending like she owned the place. "We're planning a big 4th of July bash here every year," she bragged. "Maybe even turn it into a rentable Airbnb." Her friends clapped like she was some real estate queen. My jaw clenched. Mom pulled me aside. "Ava, can you try not to ruin Emma's weekend? This cabin means a lot to her." I looked her dead in the eyes. "It meant a lot to Grandma too. Funny how none of you cared until you thought you could profit off it." Dad stepped in. "Look, we all assumed you wouldn't want the burden. You're not exactly the most stable one in the family." There it was. The real reason. They didn't think I was enough. What they didn't know? I'd already made moves behind the scenes. 2 months ago, I spent my savings filing the title transfer and registering the property under my LLC. I'd even secured permits to renovate it into a luxury retreat, something Grandma and I used to dream about together, and that burden they talked about, it came with a $450,000 land value, and a waiting list of clients ready to book it for the fall. That night, as they threw a party on my deck, with string lights and cheap wine, I watched from the tree line. Emma raised a toast to new beginnings, to my new home. Her voice echoed through the woods. That's when the sheriff's cruiser slowly rolled up the gravel path. Emma's face went pale as the deputy stepped out and asked, "Who's in charge here?" She raised her hand, but I stepped forward from the shadows and said, "That would be me." The entire porch went silent. Emma froze, her hand still raised in midair like she couldn't believe I'd just spoken. The deputy looked between us, confused, until I calmly stepped forward, pulled the original will from my bag, and handed him a copy of the legal documents. "I'm the legal owner of this property," I said, loud enough for everyone at the party to hear. It was passed down to me directly by my grandmother. They'd been trespassing since the moment they arrived. Gasps rippled through the crowd. Emma's friends looked at each other, awkward and unsure, slowly backing away like they didn't want to be caught in the middle of whatever family war this was turning into. Emma's voice cracked. "No, that's not true. My parents told me." The deputy raised a hand. Ma'am, this deed clearly states ownership was transferred to Ava Johnson 2 months ago. Do you have any paperwork showing a change in that? Her mouth opened. Closed. Then opened again. They gave me the key. My mom said, that's not how property law works, the deputy cut in. This is a civil issue, but if the rightful owner requests removal of unauthorized occupants, we'll need everyone not listed on the deed to vacate. My mom rushed over. Ava, sweetheart, don't do this. You know Emma's always dreamed of having a cabin like this. You don't even like the woods. I stared at her. Neither does Emma. She's here for the photo ops and the idea of owning something that was never hers. Dad tried stepping in. We just thought she'd take better care of it. She's always been the responsible one. Responsible? Emma once tried to light a fire in the fireplace without opening the flue and nearly suffocated us all. But of course, no one remembered that. They only remembered her fake charm and perfect Instagram posts. I turned to the deputy. I don't want them arrested. Yet. Just removed. I'll deal with the rest legally. Emma stormed up to me, her face red. You're ruining everything. Do you know how long I've planned this? Do you even know what this place could become? I smiled. Actually, yes. That's why I spent the last year designing a luxury glamping business plan for this property. I already have 2 investors on board. Contracts are signed. The project launches next spring. Her jaw dropped. Mom blinked like I'd just spoken in another language. You what? I didn't tell anyone, I said quietly, because I knew this would happen. The second you all found out I had something valuable, you'd try to take it. There was silence, just the hum of crickets and the flicker of string lights. Above us. Emma's voice was barely a whisper now. You've been planning this behind our backs? I nodded. Every meeting. Every blueprint. Every dollar. All behind the scenes while you all called me lazy, broke, or useless. The sheriff stepped closer. Ma'am, he said to Emma, I need you and your guests to gather your things and leave the premises. Tonight. Emma looked at Mom and Dad for help. But for once, they were speechless. The guests awkwardly shuffled to pack up their things, while Emma stood still, trembling with rage and humiliation. This wasn't just a party ruined. This was her perfect image shattering in front of everyone. As they loaded into their cars and drove off into the night, Mom turned back to me and asked, why didn't you just tell us sooner? I met her eyes. Because you never listened. But now you'll remember. And just before they pulled out of the driveway, I turned on the porch lights of my cabin and smiled. They gave her the key, but I was the one holding the door. The next morning, I stood barefoot on the cabin porch, sipping coffee and watching the sunrise hit the lake. It was peaceful. Quiet. Mine, but the peace didn't last long. By noon, my phone buzzed nonstop. Texts from extended family, distant cousins, even my Aunt Susan from Florida, all asking the same thing. What happened at the cabin? Why? Did Emma say you stole it? Why is she crying on Instagram Live? I opened Emma's story out of curiosity. There she was, red-eyed, dramatically whispering into the camera, after everything I've done for this family. Ava betrayed me. She took what was meant to be mine. She's changed. She wasn't wrong. I had changed. I just wasn't apologizing for it, but I wasn't going to let her rewrite the narrative either. So, I posted one photo, a clear shot of the official deed with my name on it, and the caption, when people lie for attention, the truth speaks louder. Within an hour, the comments under Emma's video flipped. Wait, wasn't the cabin Ava's? She legally inherited it. What's Emma even mad about? Wow. The golden child just exposed herself. Emma went quiet, but the real blow came 3 days later when I attended a family barbecue hosted by Uncle Jeff. I almost didn't go. I expected cold shoulders or awkward tension. But as I walked in, heads turned, not in pity. In respect. Ava, my cousin Jenna called, rushing over. I had no idea you were doing all that behind the scenes. That's incredible. Uncle Jeff clapped me on the back. Heard about your glamping retreat idea. If you need investors, I might be interested. Even Aunt Linda, who once said I'd end up just like my unemployed boyfriend, smiled and said, you know, you've really grown up. I kept smiling, but inside? I was floored. For years, I'd been the ignored one. The one they forgot to invite. The one they thought would never make it. But now? I was the one they were proud to stand next to. Emma arrived late. She didn't speak to anyone. Didn't make eye contact with me. But I saw her watching. Watching everyone circle me, ask me questions, compliment my strength, my vision, my growth. She came to hurt me. She ended up making me a star. Later that evening, Dad quietly walked over with a plate of food. I may have misjudged you, Ava, he said, not quite meeting my eyes. You've done more than we ever expected. I stared at the burger in his hand and then looked at him. That's the problem, Dad. You never expected anything from me. Then I turned, walked back toward my car, and left early, not out of anger, but because I didn't need their validation anymore. I had built something of my own, and now they all knew. 3 months later, the cabin wasn't just a memory of betrayal, it had become a destination. The once dusty wooden lodge had been transformed into a sleek, modern escape with rustic charm. Smart lighting, heated floors, luxury outdoor tubs. Overlooking the lake, and bookings lined up for the next 6 months. I called it Whisper Pines, a name Grandma once used in her old journals. The same family who once told me I wasn't stable enough now watched as magazines featured my project in Top Hidden Getaways of the Year. Influencers tagged me, realtors called, even travel bloggers wanted interviews. But the most satisfying moment, it came during Thanksgiving dinner. I didn't plan to go. But Uncle Jeff practically begged. You're the success story of the year, he laughed over the phone. The family needs to see that. I walked in, confident, wearing the same silver bracelet Grandma gave me years ago. The one Emma once said looked cheap. The room went still. Then applause broke out. Literal applause. Mom came up first. I just want to say we're proud of you. Truly. I gave her a small nod. Thanks, Mom. Emma stayed seated. She didn't smile. Didn't look at me. But she didn't need to. Her silence was the loudest thing in the room, because no one was asking her about her job. No one was praising her for taking charge. No one handed her the keys anymore. Later, while everyone ate pie and passed around photos, Grandma's old lawyer approached me quietly. She really saw something in you, Ava. Most people don't get that kind of validation from their family until it's too late. I looked around the table, at faces now trying so hard to make up for years of dismissal. She gave me exactly what I needed, I said. Not just the cabin. The chance to prove them all wrong. Before I left, I placed a photo of Grandma and me, the one where we're laughing on the dock, on the mantel of the new fireplace. I lit the first log. They handed Emma the key to shame me, but I rebuilt the entire house around the lock, and now, they come knocking.